Did you ever think that it was possible to learn anything in just 20 hours? Learning is not that boring, repetitive task like in school, but rather can be made more fun and easier with the right strategies. And what I'm gonna talk about is not telling you to lock yourself in a room, to rote learning, or sit down in one place for hours, but rather a proven formula to learn things fast. This video is for those who want to achieve more balance in life, studies and work, and at the same time performing the best versions of themselves. You can spend hundreds of hours learning something and still not getting the most out of it, but with this 20-hour rule, you can become one of the best among others who are learning the same stuff. Imagine you are learning a new language, a new musical instrument, a new subject, a new skill, a new sport, a new game in just a couple of days and still becoming that top 5% in that field. Isn't it mind-blowing? It's like possessing that superhuman power that you didn't know that existed. The 20-hour rule consists of three parts. They are, first of all, frustration barrier, secondly, rapid skill acquisition, and the last one is effective learning. And I'm gonna explain each and one of them in more details in this video. So before I go to explain what frustration barrier is, I like to explain the most common excuses that people have when it comes to learning new things. So what people think that blocks them or prevents them learning something new is they think they don't have time. They will say, I'll get around to it someday, or I don't have time. But you know what? Everybody has 24 hours and we can make time for learning things. But what they don't realize most of the time is that it's because of the frustration barrier that we cannot learn things faster. And what frustration barrier is, a period of time in which things aren't fun because you are not good at it. So when you're starting something new, you are not good at it naturally. So you are actually horrible at that skill. So it's because of the frustration barrier. Once you go through this period, things will be automatic. Things will start getting more fun and easier, and you'll start liking that thing. So it's because of the frustration barrier that we most of the time fail to learn new things. Learning actually consists of three stages. And if you know this, you can know the format or the formula of learning. So these are, first of all, cognitive early stage. Cognitive stage is the time when you think about learning something. Let's say you want to learn how to play chess. So before you actually do the stuff, which is learning, you think about it. You just say, okay, I have 2 hours of time to learn this stuff, or you just do research about how long it takes to master, and all this thing related to your thinking. And the second is associative intermediate stage. Associative stage is the time where you do the real practice, when you do the actual learning. So it's like practicing, so you just get feedback, you learn from your mistakes, and it's the actual part you learn. And the last one is autonomous stage. It's the latest stage and it's the most important and also the most fun, I guess. After overcoming that frustration barrier, you can then make your learning autonomous. So this is the time when you basically learn anything without much thinking, without any thoughts. So this is the most fun part as well. So you might be wondering, what is 20-hour rule? Well, you might have heard about 10,000 rule, but it's not related to 20-hour rule, because you might be thinking right now, to master something, to learn something, you might need 10,000 hours of hard work, 10,000 hours of practice, which will be years of hard work in fact. But 20-hour rule might seem a bit confusing to you and might seem not kind of believable, but actually it's possible to learn anything in 20 hours. So the misconception is the 10,000 hour rule. To learn something you need 10,000 hours. Yes, you need that to master something, but not to learn something for the appropriate purpose. What I mean is, You need 10,000 hour rule to master something at a world-class level. Let's say you are a basketball player, Michael Jordan, or anybody, or let's say Tiger Woods, who is the best golf player. And to become that world-class level, you need 10,000 hour rule, which is like years of work, if not decades. So the goal of 20-hour rule is basically developing capacity for your own purposes. Let's say you are learning a new language, let's say. So you don't need that kind of advanced level, you just need maybe intermediate level. So to get to that level, from the beginner level, you just need 20 hours. And actually 20-hour rule is concentrated, intelligent, and focused effort. So that's what 20-hour rule is, and with all the smart and focused strategies, you can master anything in just 20 hours. So it's time to discuss what RSA stands for, which is Rapid Skill Acquisition. So I wrote down in a short form like RSA so you can remember it faster. And there are 10 things you need to know when it comes to rapid skill acquisition. So first one is choosing a lovable subject. If you're not passionate about something, you can never learn it faster. So you need to know that there should be something that you're passionate about, or you have more purpose to learn. So let's say if you are learning something to make money, or if you are learning something just for fun, these are the things that you might find more enjoyable and more engaging. And second is focusing one skill at a time. It's very important right now. You might have different ideas. You might say, I have tons of things I need to learn. If I would learn one skill right now, other things will fall behind. So if you just try to do that, which is like multitasking or trying to learn different things at one time, you would end up learning anything. So it's better to learn one thing. So the solution here is you can actually write down your maybe someday list. What I mean is just write down what you want to learn on a paper, and then just after you master one thing, let's say after you master one skill, you move on to the next one. That's how you get everything done. So it's very important that you need to focus on one thing at one time. So another thing is performance target. You need to have this idea of how performance should be. I mean, when you are learning, let's say I have no idea about how to play a piano right now. I might start with practicing with one hand. So later on, I might say I would just, describe my performance target like I would be able to play piano with both my hands, and then I would be able to read from the notes, and without any reading I would be able to play. This is how my performance target might be. Or depending on the skill, you might have different performance targets. Another thing is deconstructing the big skill, big subject into sub-skills. Let's say you are learning how to play a piano. So it has different sub-skills, right? You might start with playing with one hand, you might start with learning how to play notes, and you might start with, for example, playing with two hands. So it has different sub-skills. You need to write down all of it into, you need to deconstruct it into sub-skills, then you will prioritize every part. And another thing is obtaining critical tools. I know it might seem a bit right now normal to you, but it's the most important thing. Let's say you are learning how to drive a car, but if you don't have a car, you won't learn anything, right? That's how it's like that. Or if you want to learn how to play a piano, but you don't have a piano, you won't learn it. That's why it's very important that you need to obtain the critical tools. So let's come to this side, and another one is barriers. You need to eliminate all kinds of barriers. It might be noise, background noise, or it might be any kind of emotional barriers, depression, or maybe you might have different thoughts in your mind. You need to just clear them up, and It's very important that you are right now clear-minded when you are learning something, when you want to learn something. And another is making dedicated time for learning. So as I said, most people's excuses are I don't have time or related to kind of time, right? They are kind of lazy. But if you think about it, most of the time we just waste our time. So right now we just scroll on social media, or we might even waste our time just watching TV, or gossiping somebody, or just sitting down on lunch or dinner, just spending time just talking or anything else. You can make time. That's why it's very important that you need to make dedicated time for learning. My recommendation here is 90 minutes of learning. Every day, just spend around 90 minutes to learn something so that you can actually master it faster. And another is feedback loops. It's very important that you need to have feedback loops as fast as you can. Because if you are learning from your mistakes and if you are getting constant feedback, you can actually improve faster. That's why you need to find out different ways of getting feedback loops faster. The best example here is programming. When you're learning programming, it's really fast because once you make an error, once you make a mistake, it pops up. I mean, the error pops up on your screen and says error or something. So it's something like that. I mean, if you want to learn something, you just gotta find out different ways of finding different feedback loops. And the last one is, the next one is clock in short bursts. Here, this idea is kind of unusual. What I mean is, when you're starting to learn something, as I said, you would be kind of frustrated. And you might think that you are spending a lot of time on learning something, because our mind thinks like that, and it's kind of created like this. So when you are learning something, you just, let's say, are spending actually 20 minutes, but in your mind it would be like 1 hour. So it's very important that you need to have some kind of clock or timer, and you need to set around 20 minutes and then just practice that thing till the time goes off. Because as I said, our mind doesn't know the difference between reality and the what's going on in our mind. And the last one is quantity and speed. And here what I mean is, you need to actually practice thing faster. I mean, you need to practice this thing like in more amount. I know you would be really bad at something when you're first starting, but it's very important that you need to focus on quantity and speed. Let's come to the example of piano playing. When you're playing piano, you would be really bad in the first couple of weeks maybe. Or when you're just practicing, you would not be able to get the good grasp of anything. So you need to, let's say, in one day practice 90 minutes of deep work in 2 or 3 times. I mean, you just gotta do it faster and in more amount. So these are the simple 10 ideas of rapid skill acquisition, and I hope you found it very useful. So now it's time to discuss what effective learning is. You might have now learned what rapid skill acquisition is, but you might be considering to learn things more effectively and deeply. So there are also 10 concepts you need to know before you master effective learning. So the first one is research. You need to research the skill or related topics. So what I recommend here is you need to research the top 3 books, courses, resources, YouTube channels, all kinds of necessary resources that are related to your skill. And next one is confuse. You need to confuse yourself. I mean, it's okay to get confused when you're first starting out. When you are learning something new, you might come across a lot of unfamiliar words, unfamiliar terminology. So that's the time you need to know that you are going on the right direction. So it's alright to get confused. Next is inversion. You need to use this especially in sporty and risky moments. Let's say you are trying something like mountain biking. So you need to ask some different questions like what's the worst case scenario that can happen, and you would as a result, buy some gears, safety gears. You would prepare for the weather conditions. So that's why it's very important in effective learning. Next is expectations. You need to set realistic expectations, or you need to talk to the practitioners, or you need to talk to those who have learned that skill or who have mastered that skill. You need to ask like how long it takes, or what things you need to learn, and what realistic expectation you can set. And another is mentality. You need to develop mental hooks and mental some assumptions. What I mean is, when you are learning something, especially programming, let's say, you would come across lots of words that are not familiar to you. So to explain those concepts to yourself, you need to come up with different analogies. You need to explain them like in real life examples. That's called mental hooks. So the purpose of that thing is it can help you develop much better learning abilities, and also it helps you learn things fast. And another is distractions. I also mentioned this in rapid skill acquisition. So it's very important that you need to eliminate all kinds of distractions, whether it be telephone, internet, or noise, or anything. You need to eliminate them all. And another is memorization. I know it's very important to stick a bit of memorization when you're learning something. So because the reason why we need to do is our memory is not that perfect, and our brain is not really good at remembering things. So we need to have some flashcards, we need to have some checklists, or we need to kind of memorize things often. That's the thing. And another is systemization, or creating some kind of checklists. So when you are trying something, when you're learning something, you need to write down or systemize the learning. So let's say basketball. When you are practicing basketball, you have different process of practicing it. I mean, you start with warming up, you just go to shooting, you just go to team playing and different stuff. So you need to systemize it and come, and without thinking, you just need to go to that thing immediately. And another is testing and predictions. And you know that learning is basically testing and experimenting things. So it's very important that you need to test and experiment things fast. And the last one is biology. You need to honor your biology, because if you don't have sleep, if you don't have enough food, or if you don't have enough rest, you won't be productive. That's why you need to really honor your biology, or you need to be kind to yourself at least. So this was it for effective learning, and by applying these rules, by applying these strategies, you can master anything in just 20 hours. You just need to be focused and apply all these rules. But if you want to learn more about this book, you gotta check the affiliate link that I'm leaving and buy the book, and also read from that book in more details. So thank you guys very much for watching this video.